Now, you will have heard that impeachment proceedings, or at least the inquiry, is now being started up in the United States by the Republicans in the House to potentially move towards impeaching Joe Biden. Now, of course, you need 60 votes in the Senate for that to happen, and just like it wasn't going to happen for Trump, it won't happen for Biden. So it's all about what the House does. So now that the word impeachment is being used, I have to ask our dear friend, Dave Rubin from the Rubin Report, a fellow free-thinking Gen Xer, are the walls closing in on Biden?
Paul, the walls are never closing in on Democrats because, as we've discussed before, Democrats have the one great privilege of America, which is democratic privilege. It means that if you have a D next to your name, you can get away with pretty much anything. And look, the impeachment in and of itself, now that McCarthy is moving ahead with this thing, it will not go anywhere. As you just pointed out, when the Democrats did it against Trump, they didn't have the Senate, so we sort of knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. And this isn't going to go anywhere because the Democrats, the Republicans don't have the Senate. So it's the same game. I would tell the Republicans and McCarthy, you sort of got to be careful what you ask for here, because I saw a poll this morning. 73% of Americans, that includes Democrats, are now saying that Biden is too old or cognitively impaired to run for re-election. So he's losing support drastically, on top of Biden economics that are failing and the border that everyone's now realizing is a problem, and the litany of other things that we could go through. Why would you do something that's going to gin up the base? Why would the Republicans go out of their way to make this guy look like the sacrificial lamb and get more people to support him? I do not know the answer to that.
Do you think that now that it moves to this next level, that it forces the media to have to cover the revelations of the inquiry?
So that might be it, right? That might be it. That if nothing else, McCarthy's calculation is, okay, we know we have this smoking gun here. We know that Hunter Biden was working for this Ukrainian energy company. We know they were funneling money to Joe Biden. We know that Hunter got the job because of his dad's connections as vice president at the time, et cetera, et cetera. Right-wing media, or Paul, whatever you want to call guys like us, I don't even think it's right-wing media, sane people or people that are somewhat awake know about it and care, but how do we burst this thing forth to the mainstream? So maybe McCarthy's calculation was just that. Oh, we know we're not going to get the conviction on this thing. It's not like Biden steps down or something like that. And by the way, if he did, then you get Kamala. So it's not like things are magically better. But maybe the calculation is, oh, we can shine such a spotlight on this thing, they'll have to talk about it. And maybe that at least wakes some people up to the Democrat, specifically the Joe Biden family corruption.
The polls now can see that he is not up to the job. Now, this is part of a wider issue that's happening in Washington, where, frankly, there are too many people in Washington, from the president to the head of the Republicans in the Senate to the senator from California, where, frankly, Washington has become more of an old folks' home than a place that actually governs. Why do you think too many people hold on for too long and the people around them keep propping up people who clearly aren't up to it anymore?
I mean, I think the first answer is that the baby boomer generation that these guys are part of is holding on too long. I have a healthy respect for people that are, older than me and my parents' age, and I had grandparents and great-grandparents into their 90s. But that does not mean you should be operating at the highest levels of government. The idea that Nancy Pelosi, who, if I'm not mistaken, is 83 years old, is running for re-election, go be a grandmother. What is Joe Biden at 81 thinking about running again? Sometimes you can put down the reins and hand it to the next generation. That's one of the great things that you can do as you age. You can build something and then in a wonderfully decent way hand it off to the young people behind you. And I think they've held on for too long. They don't know how to let go. And the system itself, the swamp, it likes the fact that it has a bunch of people who don't really know what's going on, because that's just more money for the machine.